and it just shows that Nekcom isn't afraid to take risks.
Right. And honestly, that's what I love to see in the gaming industry.
Yep.
Studios pushing boundaries, trying new things.
Yeah.
All right, everybody, welcome back. And if you're new here, well, welcome aboard. Glad to have you.
Yeah, welcome. Always exciting to have new folks join in the crew.
You know, we always appreciate you taking the time to explore these kind of off the beaten path topics with us.
Yeah, definitely. The curiosity, that's what keeps things interesting.
It really does. So today we're going to be looking at something that's honestly got me kind of hyped. And I know you're pretty into this too.
Yeah, this one is pretty wild.
They're talking about a game called Showa American Story. Have you heard about this one?
Yeah, I've been seeing it pop up online. It's got a lot of buzz going around.
It really does, and for good reason. This game's an action RPG, but not your typical fantasy or sci-fi setting, you know?
Definitely not. The premise here is something else. We're talking alternate history, 1980s America.
Yeah.
But with a twist.
Yeah, a big twist. Imagine, like, if Japan had become, like, the dominant economic force in the world.
Right.
Like, way more than they already were.
Yeah. And that's exactly what happened in this game's world. So basically, Japanese culture is everywhere.
It's wild. So instead of like the classic American diner on every corner, think like sushi joints, ramen shops everywhere.
Yeah, and it's not just food either. The whole aesthetic, the architecture, the fashion, it's all got this like Japanese fusion vibe going on.
I'm picturing like a neon-drenched Times Square, but with giant holographic sumo wrestlers instead of billboards.
Yeah, exactly. That's the kind of vibe they're going for, I think. And they even went a step further with the whole Showa thing, you know?
Oh yeah, they set the game in Showa 66, which I had to look up.
Yeah, it's basically like 1991 for us, but it's just another way to emphasize that this is not our timeline.
Right, it's a whole different reality. And then just to make things even more interesting, this alternate America gets hit with like a major cataclysm.
Yeah, out of nowhere. Some kind of mysterious event throws the whole world into chaos.
Talk about a curveball. So we've got this crazy mix of cultures, a big old mystery, and a post-apocalyptic world to explore.
Yeah, and that's where our main character, Choko, comes in.
Choko. She's a teenage girl who wakes up in this messed up world with no memory of what happened.
Yeah, classic amnesiac protagonist trope, but it works, especially in a setting like this.
It definitely adds to the intrigue, and I can't help but compare it to games like The Last of Us. That kind of lone survivor vibe.
Yeah, totally. But with a completely different cultural backdrop. So instead of like gritty Americana, it's all about this like Japanese-influenced post-apocalypse.
Yeah, which makes me wonder, what kind of challenges Choko gonna face in this reimagined America? Are we gonna see like mutated versions of classic American monsters?
Ooh, like zombie cowboys.
Yeah.
Or maybe like giant radioactive geishas.
That's awesome. I'd play that game in a heartbeat.
And of course, Choko's got to figure out what caused this whole mess and why she woke up in the middle of it.
Yeah, it sounds like a recipe for some intense action and a story that'll really make you think.
And speaking of thinking, did you notice who's actually developing this game?
Oh yeah, Nekcom Games. They're a Chinese studio, which is kind of unexpected, right?
Yeah, it's not a Japanese studio, not an American studio. It's a Chinese team taking on this alternate history.
Which adds a whole nother layer to this whole thing. It makes you wonder what kind of unique perspective they're going to bring.
Exactly. And it's interesting because Nekcom is mostly known for their escape room games, like Dying, Reborn.
I've heard of that one. It's supposed to be super creepy and atmospheric.
Yeah. So I'm curious to see how that translates to an action RPG like this.
Me too. I'm hoping for some really creative level design and maybe even some puzzle elements woven into the combat.
Oh, that'd be cool. And it just shows that Nekcom isn't afraid to take risks.
Right. And honestly, that's what I love to see in the gaming industry.
Yep.
Studios pushing boundaries, trying new things.
Yeah. But it's a gamble for sure. Like this whole concept with the cultural mashup and the alternate history, it could go wrong pretty easily.
Oh yeah, I can see that. Like if it's not handled carefully, it could fall into stereotypes or misinterpretations.
Yeah, and finding the right balance between the action gameplay and the more serious themes, that's a tough challenge.
Totally.
Yeah.
But hey, that's what makes games like this so interesting. They're taking a swing, and I respect that.
Absolutely. And I think a lot of gamers feel the same way. They're tired of the same old formulas.
Yeah, we want games that challenge us, surprise us.
Yeah.
And Showa American Story definitely seems like it fits the bill.
For sure. Now I gotta ask, you listening out there, would you be more likely to play a game with this kind of risky premise? Or would it scare you off?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think for me, the more unique, the better.
I'm with you. And it really gets you thinking, right? Like, imagine if our world was flipped on its head. Like if another country's culture was suddenly the dominant force.
Oh, that's a mind-blowing thought. Like, what would our everyday life be like? What would our cities look like? Our music, our food?
Yeah. Would we be eating like tacos with kimchi, wearing lederhosen with cowboy boots?
And those are the kind of conversations we love to have here on The Deep Dive. So if you're looking for games that make you think, that push the boundaries, Showa American Story is definitely one to watch.
Yeah. Keep an eye out for it. And hey, if you want to keep exploring these kind of wild ideas with us, make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel.
We're always diving into new and interesting stuff. Thanks for joining us. We'll catch you in the next one.
See you next time.
Later.